Hi there, welcome again to another episode of Adventist Asia Podcast. And our goal with this podcast is to share ideas with our church members around the Southern Asia Pacific Division. And our hopes is that when you learn new things, you can apply them to your church and to your ministries. Today, I am really excited to be with one of my friends, Pako, and he hails from the General Conference as our Associate Youth Director. I think I want to ask you personally to introduce yourself in your version, and then share with us what your leadership role is for our church.
Well, my name is Pako. I come from Botswana. I am a pastor's kid. I love God.
Amen.
I have a passion for youth ministry, and one of the things that I do at the General Conference is to work with senior youth. Senior youth being ambassadors, young adults, and public campus ministry students. And putting that together gives me life. It gives me a sense of doing something. And I am very, very grateful for the opportunity and the privilege. And I think we have a lot of potential among this group. Mm-hmm. And I think the more the church can, capitalize on these creative visionaries, the more we can, glean out of them and make sure that they help in getting the kingdom to a certain level and expanding the horizons of God's kingdom.
Yeah. So your role as being Senior Youth Director, what are some of the projects that you're working on right now?
So there's two things that come to mind. Well, three. The first one is the Senior Youth Leadership Curriculum. Mm-hmm. So the people who lead the senior youth, which is the ambassadors, young adults, and public campus, we want them to go through a training that is relevant, a training that will help them to contend with the mindset of today's young people.
And this age bracket of
good question. The age bracket for ambassadors is 16 years to 21 years. And then the young adults would be 22 to 30. And as you know, we had a new vote with the General Conference about the age bracket. Mm-hmm. And that became an issue in other parts of the world. And in some other parts of the world, it was a welcome decision. But, we'll take what each region gives us. Mm-hmm. And then public campus is 16 to 30 plus, so because most students in public campuses are young people, we will include even those who are 30 plus so that we can provide support for them and even provide support for Adventist staff serving in public campuses.
So for public campus, it's not just undergrad.
It's not just undergrad. You can be a graduate student, at whatever level, and we are happy to support you. Mm-hmm. And we have some resources to get you started. Mm-hmm. We've got a student handbook, we've got manuals, we've got some videos on YouTube, on the GC Youth Ministries, Facebook page, GC Youth, Instagram, and of course GC Youth Ministry, General Conference Youth Ministries on YouTube, mm-hmm. where you can find, videos of how to navigate your life in the public campus and also address some of the challenges that students in the public campus face.
So these resources that you have, it can help also in starting their own ministry or maintaining a ministry.
Oh yeah. At that age, because it's senior youth, we want you to move with the impression that the Holy Spirit gives mm-hmm. each one. Mm-hmm. And so you want to maintain, well and good. You want to start something good, go for it, because we believe God has placed something in everybody's heart. Mm-hmm. And if God plants an idea that is unconventional, who are we to stop it? Yeah. Who are we to restrain that energy? Yeah. So we want to see young people going forward in strong ways, as long as they are they are convicted by the Holy Spirit and they are in sync with God. That in itself gives us options, a plethora of options to see how work can be done and how the mission can be accomplished. So yeah, you mentioned the things. Back to the question, and I know we veered off, but it's senior youth leadership. Okay. So senior youth leadership helps leaders who are going to lead this age group mm-hmm. to be relevant. Yeah. To contend with the mindset of these young people and help them to embrace the call to discipleship.
What was going through your mind when you were developing a curriculum for senior youth leaders?
Man, a lot of things came to my mind. At first, I was looking at the possibilities. And I was looking at how much we can glean from mobilizing young people and recognizing young people. Because this is about recognizing young people, embracing their giftedness, up and making sure that they have a seat at the leadership table, so that they too can participate not only in mission but also in decision making, which is leadership. So those are the things that I was blown away, and I was saying, God, thank you for this opportunity and this privilege. There's so much that we can benefit from as a church. These young people or these young adults are used in big companies, and they're managing billions of dollars. And they're making big decisions that drive economies. And the same young people are sitting at the backbench.
Exactly.
And we are not recognizing them because we keep using the same people as a church. So so we teach leaders to speak for these young people, provide opportunities for leadership, engage pastors and elders and conference leaders, so that they too can find placing in executive committees of the conference, in church boards, in as session delegates. We can't be having the elderly only as delegates. We need to have a percentage that we can give out to young people so that they can belong. If we don't make them feel like they belong, they're gonna go. And hence SYL helps to address the attrition problem, so that when we have leaders who are trained, then we can try and reach out to these young people whom we're losing in droves.
Right.
So we need to address the leadership aspect. And then another project that we are working on, is to promote the ambassador ministry. Oh man, that's key. Why am I saying it's key? Because when they graduate from junior youth ministry or Pathfinder to ambassador, they're entering a whole new level. They're discovering themselves. They're exposed to philosophies, and maybe they're doing first years in their universities. Yes, and they're discovering themselves, and so they're trying to find themselves. They are seeking for a home. They are seeking for answers, and the ambassador program was produced out of a study that was done among the age group. What are the needs? And you can imagine when they're done with guide, if they don't go to master guide, they are lost. We lose them, and so we had to come up with modules that can address issues that these young people face. And in my view, the previous leaders, Dr. Kenji and Jonathan and Hiskia Misa, at the time, put this package together. And it is so relevant. And so we are riding on the shoulders of such great men who've run their race, and now it is left to us to take this to the next level by promoting it, ensuring that we're visible on social media. We as we travel around divisions, we are promoting this in good ways, and so we've been able to produce a lot more. Now they produced the resources. We've produced videos on how to do it, how to teach the modules, how to do ambassador ministry, and what to look out for, how to, make sure that they feel connected not only to the church but to Jesus Christ. And that's key for us. So another thing is the public campus ministry students, just making sure that their resources are developed and upgraded. And we're trying to work on a new manual, and somebody that I know is helping with that. So we will get to that when we cross the bridge.
I want to talk to that guy.
Yeah. Talk to yourself.
Excuse me. Yeah. I see that we have this, this array of tools for youth youth leaders. Can we invite our elders, the people at our local church who are leaders right now? Would it be important for them to take the time to review some of these materials?
My dream is that all pastors and elders must do senior youth leadership. We actually exempt pastors because they've done most of their training in their theological, in their theological program. But we would like to see elders. I'll give you an example of a union in Tanzania, where they called all pastors and elders and youth leaders of every local church to come together, and they called the division and the GC to come and address pastors on the pertinent matters of youth ministry. That became something because From there, we saw the mushrooming of young leaders in Tanzania.
Because they caught the vision.
They caught the vision. They said, you know what? We don't need to do this ourselves. We don't need to do this. We don't need to go up on the pulpit and pray. Why can't we ask a young person to come pray? Why can't we give a young person to deliver the sermon? If God can use an adult, I'm sure he can use a young person. And if God in calling David was not concerned about age and the quantity of life, but the quality of life and the quality of character, then we can give young people a chance. So we saw them embracing the programs of young people and deliberately connecting with young people to make them feel like they belong. You see, if we don't make young people feel like they belong, then we are losing them. Because the devil is going to make them feel like they belong in the discourse, in the clubs, with the wrong company. And you know what? It's going to be beautiful there because those guys, they support each other. Look, I have a problem. They come together and they solve it. Why can't Christians do that? Another reason why we need elders and pastors to be part of this is because young people are looking for mentors. Mentorship is a buzzword when it comes to young adults, when it comes to students, when it comes to ambassadors, that's senior youth. So they become the resource materials and they are the living legends whom young people can look up to and say, I want to be like Tony. I want to be like Sam. I want to be like Dingani. I want to be like these wonderful guys. Who are these guys? I want to be like this elder because of how they see things. Young people today observe, and the best mentorship is actually passive because you don't know who's looking at you. And so whatever you say, whatever you do, someone is saying, wow, I like that. I like that.
Mentorship is key.
Yeah, so mentorship is key. So those are the three things.
I think when I was going through that curriculum, the senior youth leadership, the biggest takeaway that I had in all of my training workshops is mentorship.
Right.
We find a way to mentor at each level.
Right.
Because even for my personal experience, if I think back when I was going to Sabbath school when I was younger, I don't have an idea in my mind where some of my friends are today. And that's some 20 some years ago.
Right.
Right. And though we didn't have ambassadors back then, it was just up until Master Guide. But all of us, even though we were in Pathfinders, they were quite active. I can remember going to camporees and things like that. But when you get into high school and then or senior high and going to college, those activities become sort of like the background.
Yeah.
And that's when I started, thinking of myself, my friends aren't around anymore.
Where are they?
Yeah, where did they go? Is Senior Youth Ministries or SYL and the Ambassador Club, they're just part of the solution that we're looking at. Where do you see that, not solving the problem, but helping to close the door?
Brilliant question, Tony, that you've asked. How does it work? Where are we going with this? I think that's what you're trying to say. What's the final?
Are we just making more clubs?
Or are we just making sure that the day is filled with something that you're doing? Correct. But where are we going? What's the end game? The more we have young people who leaders who understand that young people are part and parcel of what we do because of policy provisions, because of church manual support, because of research. Research tells us that the more young people are involved in leadership and mission at a local church, the more that church is bound to grow.
Yeah.
Our history. It is young people who started this great organization. Ellen White was only 17 years. You had all these great names, J.N. Andrews, the young people who came together and said, we're going to ride the waves and we're going to stay. And then I think that they had staying power in those days. And today's young people don't have much staying power. No. And we need to work on that, So we do have to work on the young people so that they can be present, they can be available, and they can be willing to go all the way. But the change begins with leadership. Why are we focusing on leaders? Why are we focusing on the pastors and the elders and the youth leaders in general, the senior youth leaders, your ambassador leader, your young adult leader, your PCM leader? Because change begins with leaders. When the leaders embrace these principles and the way of doing ministry, young people will respond positively. and they will find father figures, they will find mentors, they will find people who care. Authenticity is what young people are looking for. Can you be real with us? Can we have normal conversations? Can we laugh together? Can we put on your shorts and let's go to the beach together? Can you show me that you are normal? And that's what we need. We need leaders who can say, hey, let's go for a meal. Call up people on their birthdays, recognize, call them by name, recognize people, show that you care. And so when that happens, they are creating a space that young people can call home, a place of community, a place of expression, a place of comfort, a place where you don't fear to be who you are because you've got mentors who are going to guide you in a loving Christian way. So for us to win the confidence of young people is to get into their shoes, is to connect with them. And that's why I encourage leaders all over the world, as much as social media has got its ills, we need to be present. If the devil has an agenda on social media, Christ also has an agenda. So we've got to be agents of that agenda and ensure that we are mobilizing young people and using these platforms to do more exploits for Jesus. They are part, right now they are on social media because they grew up on social media. It's their first language. It's not Tagalog, it's not Setswana, it's not Chewa, it's not Hebrew. It is social media. Like 10 years ago, would you have said, "Hey, Pastor, I'm gonna WhatsApp you later"? No. What language is that? But now everybody understands. Hey Tony, just send me a text on Instagram. DM me. Let's go. So those things, and when we are present with them in their spaces, we're able to guide them and mentor them physically and digitally. Because we need to make those imprints, and whatever we do on social media shows us where we are going, and it reveals the index of our hearts, our language, our posting, our check-in, and all these things matter. So for me, the package that we are presenting in the leadership of senior youth in the ambassador ministry is a wholesome package that addresses life and how young people can remain God's children and remain relevant, and for them to feel free to express their giftedness in participating in the labors of redemption, saving others. And we need more young people who can do that, because it is them who can win others. They have got power to win more young people and say, hey, we believe in this. So can you.
If you could give a message to, let's say, to the elders,
right,
who are looking for ways to engage the young people, or you want to send a message to the young people who are finding a way to stay with the church, what would be that message?
I would say to the elders, find a way to remain authentic. Just be real. And take the first step towards connecting with them. Leaders must listen to understand and not to react. If the elders would listen to understand and not react, they would be in a better position to win young people. And I would say to the elders, don't be intimidated by young people. They naturally ask questions. It's in their nature to ask questions. It's not being disrespectful. Some of them, of course, may do it in disrespectful ways. But be ready for questions. And if you don't know, be real enough to say, I don't know. And give yourself time to say, look, I'm not sure about that answer. Let me go find out more. So to the elder who is seeking and who is wanting to connect, get to know them, listen more. Come down to their level. Listen to them, engage them. God placed you there so that you can channel their energies into parts of righteousness, and that you can guide them to a place where they will feel this is home. This is where we want to belong, because there are people who genuinely care. Our sympathy must not remain at sympathy. It must become empathetic, so that we get into their shoes, feel their feelings, and then God will give you a leader, the words to finally nail it and guide them to where they need to be. In fact, Ellen White says, if pastors and elders neglect youth in their churches, they are committing a sin of great magnitude. I need to find that. I need to remember that quotation, but I have it on my laptop. I need to remember it. Maybe I can send it to you so that you can paste it, underneath this this presentation or this video. So I think it would be nice to have more elders who say, "Oh, I want to do something," and I would say to them, be intentional in hearing them, and also be an enabler of creating space for them to be involved in mission and in leadership. When young people see other young people in leadership, they say, wow, we are represented. That's us, and that does something to them. So it may be small, but it goes a long way. So to the church pastor, to the church elder, create space for them in the local church board. The church manual says we should give them responsibilities such as elder and Sabbath school superintendent and deaconry. That's what the church manual says. The policy says we must give young people, which is our legal document. Can you imagine if a young person takes us to court because we are not keeping our policy?
Whoa.
It says that the young people must be involved in leadership as a full expression of their faith.
See?
So we have a policy motivations, we've got church manual motivations, we've got historical motivations, we've got research motivations. That goes a long way. And so we can work together to make this enabling possible. And it starts with leadership.
Thank you, Pako. Thank you. Well, thank you guys for tuning in to Adventist Asia podcast. Pako, I know you have a flight to catch in a few hours.
Right.
So thank you so much for giving us your time.
But let me say something to the young people.
Oh, yes.
Let me say something. We are living at the end of time. And you and I have been gifted with so much. It's time to use our gifts to shine for Jesus, to extend the horizons of God's kingdom and those abilities and virtues that God has placed in you. Let them come out. We see more elders and leaders around the church willing to give young people a chance. But some of us, sometimes we are not present. We hop from church to church looking for joy, looking for music programs, looking for who's dressed in a great swag, in the best swag. Who smells good? Who smells Gucci? Who smells Hugo Boss? Nice things, but is that real? That's cosmetic. We need real things that can stick with us and things that can leave imprints of the character of Jesus to others. I'm not saying those things should not be done. I'm saying let's prioritize who we are. Let's get things done. Let's stay beautiful, but as we're beautiful, let's win souls for Jesus. And let's run the race. Let's have staying power. Let's cooperate. The work cannot be finished, if we are not united. That there may be one as we are one. That was the prayer of Jesus. So I urge you to trust your God, and that you may use what you have. What is it that you have in your hand? Use it and move in the power of God, because Jesus is coming soon. And that's the beauty of the gospel. He's coming soon. You can play a significant role. And one day when we get to heaven, God will introduce all the souls that you brought to heaven through your influence, some of it passive influence. You didn't know that people are watching you. So whatever you do, whether on the digital space or on the physical space, someone is watching you. May your physical influence and your digital influence, digital presence, digital influence, may they be congruent, that they speak of a child of God who's marching to Zion and a king who is about to come. God bless you.
That's it. So if you guys are watching us right now on YouTube, remember that we also are on Spotify. Just search for Adventist Asia Podcast and follow us there and subscribe as well. Till the next time, peace out.